We hail proudly from Sacramento and Chico, and we really thank We Are Women for being trans and non-binary inclusive. This is really, really cool, and we feel very honored and thankful to be here today. This is going to be some propaganda for you, and hopefully it'll be entertaining too. I was walking down the street with my friends. We were in the heat and it was doing us in. We were at our wits' end, walking down the street with me and my friends. We went to the local LGBT center. We knocked on the door and we asked if we could enter, and they're like, no, we're not open, we're not open, we're not open to the public at the LGBT center. You cannot walk in, you cannot sit down, we prefer that you don't enter. And we were like, wow, we thought this was a place for our community, where we could get a drink of water, sit down, and safely pee. Boy, the joke was on me and my friends that day. But you see, this is a bit of a trend. The mission has changed. There's a lot of non-profit industrial chump change to stage and scrounge. They won't let us lounge at the center, not anymore. This was rather sad because the cops are on overdrive, making sure that the underserved youth can't even stay alive. If they're sitting in the parks with bags, they're called homeless and a menace, and they're shipped away on buses, and they're oftentimes arrested. And when they go down to the river to try to be free of harassment, they are not free of harassment. The police follow them and chase them and debase them, and the youth cannot safely sleep at night. And the white liberals in the suburbs, they think that there is shelter, but there's no fucking shelter. I come from Sacramento County, and you must think there's 100 beds there, G. How many beds are there for youth 11 to 17 in Sacramento County? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 shelter beds for youth in Sacramento County. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shelter beds for youth in Sacramento County. I am telling you the truth. You have no reason to doubt me. Everybody, the world sometimes is turning into an out of sight, out of mind. Let's be NIMBYs, let's be blind. Out of sight, out of mind. Let's be NIMBYs, let's be blind. I don't want to live in that world. I want basic income, and I want social housing, and I want our community to be safe in a housing first model, with social workers responding rather than cops. That way bullshit oppression will finally have a chance to stop, and we can live in freedom. We don't need all this enforcement and cameras, we don't need them. We need our freedom, and I'm not talking a red, white, and blue flag and patriotic jingoism. I'm talking the freedom that comes from a society that is led by feminists and is not a terrestrial prison. I wanna live in a world that's ruled by femmes, really strong, radical, awesome femmes. I'm really tired of being in a world that is ruled by adult, brain-dead, cisgender men. I'm really sick and tired of all these white guys in suits saying that my brothers and sisters have to die in combat boots. I'm getting really sick and tired of the 1% telling us to fuck off, take these student loans and go get bent. You're all gonna get through with debt, lots and lots of debt. How many of you out there are gonna owe at least 50 grand by the time your education is done? Raise your hand and throw it in the air, wave it all around like you really, really care, because you do. I'm talking about you. This is your education ending in frustration. Sometimes a degree is not enough to get ahead in this economy. It takes a whole lot of nepotism, and I really think that that's kind of frustrating. It's a bit of a train wreck, and I'm getting graded. What the heck? I'm just obviating on my opinions. The train wrecks happen. See, that's one of the things about being a freestyle rapper. Not everything can be a perfect flow. Alright, friends, this is something I care a whole lot about. It goes a little something like this. Call that some kind of...
Yeah, there's a mic drop. Mic drop in the house, mic drop!
Mic drop! Sometimes you gotta punctuate with a mic drop, but I'm not really gonna do a mic drop because this isn't my mic. I'm not gonna disrespect your property like that. I'm not gonna come into this beautiful space and give us an act like an asshat. I'm gonna respect the property here. Now I may come back and catch some Pokemon and do a little graffiti across the alley when you're gone, but that's not a matter of any of yours. I do dumb shit when I'm drunk on doors at 4 in the morning when I'm somnambulating. And my wife is snoring and the noise is rather grating. We've got a king-size bed. Sometimes she flops and hits me in the head. I'm like, and I'm in the middle of the night, I'm like, wow, what a wake-up call. When the person I love smacks me in the face in my sleep. You know the beautiful thing about that is our love goes so deep that every time I wake up from an interesting dream and I look at that beautiful face, I would much rather cry a tear for the love we shared for the last decade than scream. Oh, I tell you, that sounds so heteronormative, I almost want to pee. But my wife is amazing, she's filming. Let us all give a big hand to Kitty Malbeckin, one of my personal feminist heroes. She has taught me so much about acceptance.
Thank you.
She created a trans person back in the aughts when it was socially cancerous to do so. And she almost got disowned by family, but she stood up to them quite heartily. And now they're radical vegans. I guess we must be. I'm not vegan though. Look at this guy eating on cheese. What am I talking about? There was a church down the corner from my house, and they always came down with their hands out. And then when I had some homeless youths who busted out the truth and said that they needed real shelter, well, it was all helter-skelter when I talked to the pastor. He basically turned his back, sir. And I have to say, if you want to walk the path, you need to walk the path really narrow and clear. You need to let people in. You need to let people in. You need to let people in. Don't put a fence around that church. Don't put a fence around it. Let homeless people sleep in your yard. Do it. It's not all that hard. And there's another thing that has to stop. Every time you have a minor problem, don't call the cops. Don't call the cops. Here's one thing that I have to say. If there's something violent, call the cops. But if it's not violent, try to handle it another way. There are community outreach teams, and there are folks who can be of assistance, social workers who are active anti-racist. Sometimes calling the cops is an inherently racist act because people of color historically in this country have always been harassed. The structures of policing are unfair to minorities and all kinds of underserved communities. The arrest rates are much higher and the flak is turned up much higher, and it sometimes feels like there's a fire lit beneath you and consuming, and it's not a fun place to be in. I am privileged as all get out to be in a comfortable skin. I'm a non-passable trans woman who gets harassed and misgendered almost everywhere I go. But yet I understand that there are a lot of places I can go that other people can't go at all. And so I go there in their stead, and I educate, and I ambulate, and I hold up high my head. And I want all you folks to hold up your heads high too when you go to places that don't necessarily want you to be you. Let's be authentic, our authentic selves, because authenticity is really good for our mental health. Friends, sometimes we stigmatize mental health. We say, oh, he's crazy or she's crazy or they're crazy or she's crazy or they's crazy. Or we use a pathologizing form of speech. We might say sociopath or psychopath or bipolar, and we put this diagnosis on somebody and it ends up like a slur. Yes, it's a slur, it's a stigma, it's a stigmata almost, like some kind of psychic blood pouring out of the eyes. It's no surprise that people who don't realize that stigma needs to be dropped, they put these labels on people and they oppress and like cops. Frankly, I'm gonna cry because I'm so tired of my thank you folks for having us. This is pretty much what the Katmonkeys do. This is who we are. I need to do this because I work every day in a mental health respite, and you know what that is? It's a place where community members can drop in and be safe from a world of microaggressions and be in a space that's radically inclusive and free from oppression. Somebody who's got a lot of difficulties and somebody who's an introverted genius can get along in the same space and share a lot of mutually permissible and acceptable ideas. And we get consent before we hug, and we don't bring in a lot of drugs, and we eat a lot of Costco pizza because let's be honest, Costco pizza is really cheap. But you know, I've got people who come into this program and they would barely talk to other human beings, and slowly but surely, over the course of many weeks, they made friends, and they eventually were willing to go out in public, and then eventually looked for work, and eventually got that social security disability form turned in rather than living in their parents' basement, suffering from PTSD. And the beautiful thing is these folks bloom when they have a place that gives them a family vibe and radical inclusivity, a place where their life has meaning and it feels good to be alive. Where do you folks know it feels good to be alive? Hopefully here. Here. Right on. There's something about campus life because there's student-run organizations to where you can go, and there's something of a ego structure in a liberal college town. But once you leave that structure, you're going to have to throw down because there are a lot of predatory local governments that don't want underserved people around. But we want us around. We want people around who have had a hard time because they enrich our lives and we enrich theirs in community. There is no lifestyle of impunity. Gentrification is a sin, but yet adaptation and absorption can save a community from developers who wanted to sit and spin. I'm gonna get off my hearts for a minute. This is called Blow Horse. I'm not a pony that's 6 inches tall, Blow Horse. Mr. Ed will not come to my house since we got the divorce. I ride this old horse down the black trails on the bicyclist. Think I should be in jail. You think it's kind of cruel. You think it's kind of weird. I'm a trans woman growing a beard because being femme with facial hair is one of the last taboos in which everybody will still guarantee stop and stare. Fabulous trans femmes with facial hair are totally biased, right, and badass. Frankly, I hope this trend lasts. And badass systems who grow hair too. I think it's awesome, and I heart you and you and you and you. Because we are animals, we are mammals. Whether we smoke marijuana or smoke cloves or camels or smoke nothing and take care of our lungs. Friends, this song is not yet done. We have hair and it grows out of our bodies. If we believe the corporate another train wreck. If we believe the corporate taboos, we will not like our hair. We will shave and scrub and get rid of it down there or in there. Hair. It serves a purpose when it's in our nose. It even serves a purpose in between our toes. The stuff in our armpits, it traps bacteria. The stuff in our crotches traps essential oil. The stuff on our head keeps us from overheating. Hair is awesome, all of it we're needing. Sometimes I shave because I like smooth skin, but not because I'm supposed to do it. I'm not into that, my friend. I don't want to believe the propaganda that came from Gillette and other companies saying that we smell connect with conformist society. There are folks who have different genetics. There are folks who have other environmental factors. There are lots of folks who just don't want to be actors. They want to live authentically and think like they think and act like they act and flap when they're angry and cry when they're sad and stim when they're scared and triggered and fearing. And they don't want anybody else near it. Everybody needs their zone of comfort and safety. If you don't like that idea, I say by me that by me's antagonistic needlessly. We must learn to be authentic with the necessary lunacy. And it's not an easy walk, it's not an easy line. We want to shout out all the time. We want to call the people out in front of line. We want to make sure that all of our friends are fine. We want to rock to the beat while we raise the time. Advertise this world peace. Advertise this free college. Advertise this disarmed cops. Advertise this oppression must stop. Advertise this we want freedom. Advertise this not American propaganda. Freedom to be neighbors and do each other favors and love each other unconditionally like the Savior. Yes, I brought in a little Christian mythology because we have Christian mythology surrounding us ubiquitously, and I want to maybe appropriate it positively to get everybody in that culture to embrace forgiveness, see, not violent atrocity, not eye for an eye, but a hug for a hug, and a place to sleep, and a real amount of pain medication for people who need it to live, and a real amount of treatment for people who need doctors, and social workers, and case managers, and friends and family, and awesome neighbors who survive on this planet. See, we need all of these things to have the experience that makes it worth breathing and living and thriving and striving. If we're all alone and we're just on our phones, I think Pokemon Go is awesome, but it leaves us alone, especially if you're Team Yellow, and I most certainly am instinct all the way. Team Instinct never wins gyms. I don't get it. I don't get it. Actually, I get it. Unfortunately, I get it. I get it all too well. All too well. Team Instinct never wins gyms. Even though they've got Gyarados. Even though they evolved 100 fish to get that Gyarados. That was like 100 Magikarp. You know what I did when I caught 100 Magikarp? I gave them 0.01 Gyarados, 0.02 Gyarados, 0.03, etc. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong because I can't mistake the name. But that's what happens sometimes when you read a name and you don't actually pronounce it and you never hear it. And then somebody calls you stupid because you didn't understand it. But here's something I want to say to all you people out there who are still listening. If somebody mispronounces a word because they learned it from reading, please give them a lot of credit because they're reading. And sometimes the visual doesn't connect to the auditory. We're the Katmonkeys, and this is our social studies and our story. Authenticity drips out of us like sweat, and as you can see, there's a lot of fucking sweat. One more? We're gonna do one more. This is just one long song. So one more, just another stretch, another tangent, another piece of the imagination. Something like this. Sven was a Jeep. Sven was an anthropomorphized Jeep. Well, actually, Sven was a Suzuki that transitioned into a Jeep with the help of an auto parts store in the junkyard. Sven in 2013 had transition-related access through letter 12K, which allowed the doctor to prescribe hormones without the junkyard medical plan being in the way. And then Sven got some cheap parts and got a new type of gasoline and some assistance from legal services. When the health plan and the dealership said, we're not going to pay for anything, we're excluding this. It's not a part of the service contract. Although if you did any meaningful reading of the service contract by a word of the conscience, it is part of the service contract. By now you realize this is a Medi-Cal is trans-inclusive.
Surgery dates, yeah. Surgery dates, yeah. Surgery dates, yeah. Surgery dates, yeah. Yolo County Medi-Cal treats my sisters like human beings. When they're homeless in Sacramento, I say if you can get across the causeway and apply for Medi-Cal, you'll get your surgery a year earlier. Like literally. How messed up is that? Because I know people who are so dysphoric that back before this was available, they would go to Tractor Supply Hardware and literally get cattle self-castration kits. Shit, that's a trigger warning. Anyway, I'm not going to go into the rest of that story, but I'm glad our community has access to healthcare now because I'm tired of crying. I'm tired of seeing my sisters hurt themselves. I'm tired of seeing my brothers feel there's nowhere to go. I'm tired of seeing my non-binary, non-gendered siblings feel they're not included in this world. I'm tired of seeing my non-conformist artistic friends crushed under the wheels of late-stage capitalism. I'm really tired of seeing my young, bright scholars glued to their phones out of anxiety as they'll never be able to pay their student loans and never get a meaningful job, even with a bachelor's or a master's. This world is turning, and it seems to be turning even faster, and sometimes we need to just stop and acknowledge our humanity and acknowledge that we have basic dignity and integrity. Katmonkeys out.
We love you, Davis. Thank you.